report. I think you guys will notice that, of course, we are not on Twitch tonight. It's one of those things to where schedules didn't work out. We wanted to get this recorded because there's a lot to talk about tonight. So we wanted to go ahead and get it done, and so it'll be exclusively on YouTube this time around. I hope that doesn't cause too many people problems, but the big thing is, unfortunately, not going to have a lot of interaction with the audience this time around. You're just going to have to listen to what we have to say, and hopefully we'll share with you some good information here. So that being said, I do not have the full crew today, but we do have Garrett and we've got Ruben. We are all wishing Nick well right now as he recovers. So,
he's in the back to tank right now.
Yep.
Yeah, he got attacked by a wampa. So, two big topics that we want to talk about tonight. First off, a lot of you may be aware of a letter that has been posted in regards to the future of tournaments for Armada now that AMG is kind of stepping away from the game. We also will have some discussion of a revamp on Rebellion in the Rim, but we wanted to start off with this letter here, and you will be able to catch that. I'm going to put that up on the Facebook page so that you guys can see it there. It's also going to be in the Discord, so if you want to check it out and join the Discord, we always love to have people come in and talk about what they think about this game that we absolutely love. So I'm going to let Garrett start us off here.
All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? So, I got to say, first off, I'm sad it's over, but I'm really excited that we're finally moving forward. So, this was a letter that was put together. It seems like it took a while, but this just came out rapidly fast. It's been 2 weeks, right? And basically, this is a letter endorsed by the content creators, all the big TOs, our big convention, Adepticon, which we're going to talk about, and how we're going to steward the game into the future. So I'm really excited. So the first thing we got to talk about is, we're going to continue as a community under the last official organized play season up until Worlds at Adepticon in 2025. And I think the last official Armada Grand Tournament is the Richmond Open on May the 4th weekend. So, going forward, Adepticon has already reached out and, with Ion Radio, formed a relationship to provide a place, not only for Armada, but for X-Wing too, at the 2026 Adepticon, which will be our, de facto World Championship. And as a community, globally, because we have, signed on support all the way from, Australia with Fly Casual, Mars, to Poland, France, the UK, Canada, and United States, obviously. And we're just going to work together to make a cohesive, organized play season on our own accord. And that'll be, we'll lead into Adepticon because they're providing the place for us, and it's going to be great. Now, obviously, all this takes a lot of organization. And the idea is when you play a game, especially a game like Armada, it's tournament-based, and you want to, meet up with other people to play, and everyone's got to be on the same page of what we're playing. So what is being formed is called the Armada Rule Set Collective, ARC. And this is going to be made up of people who have been stewards and shepherds, and the ones who have been working on this game as a community and so forth for a decade. Because by next year, Armada will be officially 10 years old. So there's a lot of really good people. We're not ready to announce, everybody who's on the team or anything, but know that that's being done, it's being worked on, and this is really important because they're going to maintain the integrity of the game, rules, balance, and as we move on from the official season, we can finally, as a community, start putting in our own erratas and balance changes. Uh, will we add content in the future? I mean, that's up to uh, what happens next, right? So, but for now, we're focusing on maintaining a cohesive rule set so that when you go to any tournament uh, that's an Armada tournament, everyone's playing the same stuff and on the same page, and we've got one document that we say, hey, this is how we play Star Wars Armada. These are the points, and there's no argument of what is being done. And I want to add, because obviously we're playing a plastic ship Star Wars game. There's no wrong way to play the game, but when you're at a tournament or you're trying to build a community, you're going to be using these ARC rules, which are going to be it's going to be the continuation of what we've been loving to play so far, right? So that's gonna be great. And we got the support of so many awesome people. If you want to, open up the letter and look at the names at the bottom, you're going to recognize a lot of them. Recognize a lot of these content creators. So I'm super thrilled. But yeah, I mean, going forward, we just gotta be responsible and play ball with because we're working with a very recognizable intellectual property, Star Wars. So we gotta, slow is smooth, smooth is fast with legal stuff. But yeah, I'm really excited and thankful that Ken and John from Ion Radio were able to work out an amazing opportunity with Adepticon and have done an amazing job at pulling the community together. So yeah, the future is now, and now we just gotta get through this last OP season. What do you guys think, and are you also pretty excited?
How about you go first, Chris?
Well, I just, from a player perspective, my big thing is that I am anxious for information. And being anxious, you tend to ask questions and get disappointed when those questions can't be answered. But I want to let everybody know that, this it's a big deal from a legal standpoint as far as what can be said at this stage of the game. There are a lot of moving parts because, one, technically AMG is still running the show. Okay, so you can't step on any toes there, otherwise you get no cooperation in the future. You can't step on the toes of the folks at Disney because they will definitely smack you down hard. So my biggest thing is to just let the community know that patience is a virtue. There are good things on the horizon, and good things do come to those who wait. So I hope that everybody will share in my patience and still continue to play the game and enjoy it the way that they know it now. Because no experience is bad experience, and even if some of the things change along the lines, the people who are behind whatever's going to change understand the game well enough to know that they're not going to make changes that are just going to wreck the way the game operates in its entirety, because the base core rule set is amazing.
Yeah. So for me, as like a tournament organizer and an ambassador for the game and a person who plays highly competitively and at a high level, having a unified social like construct between all the players where everybody knows that if I'm going to go to this event and it is a Star Wars Armada event, it is going to be played under the same rules anywhere in the planet, which means that we can have global competition, be it online or in person. So that puts us at a consistent footing for competition, where everybody knows all the rules, and when I, as a judge, go to a table, we can say, okay, well, we're playing these rules, which means it's this way that this works. Because what we, the hardest thing to manage for a community person like me would be to be, oh, well, this month, I'm running an event in this packet, and this month, I'm running an event in this thing. And then you have to keep 15 different versions of the same rules in your brain. And then sometimes you have your Nebulon B that suddenly has this instead of that. And then you're like, wait a minute, hang on. So having one document all together makes it so much easier for the community to still grow and the competitive nature of the game to still thrive. Now, me personally, I'm a bit disappointed because I want my cool new stuff now. I don't care about AMG. In
Oh, yeah,
fact,
I agree.
I'm not gonna say the things that I say when I'm at the game store playing with the buddies that I say about AMG on the podcast because it's not polite and it's not nice. So I won't say it here. They all know. But I want my cool goodies. I want my new points. I want my Nebulon B to have the firing arcs of the Recusant so I can put it on the table. You know, all this stuff. I want my Rebel Larges. I want my MC75 to not have 2 contains. You know, I can go full wish list about this. But gimme, gimme, gimme. I don't want to wait until like 8 months from now. Because for me right now, it's just the game's very similar. At least within Rebels, it's very like samey. Because, you know, I've been playing the same thing for 2.5 years now. So you kind of get to a point where you're like, eh. So, you know, of course it's me. So I go and play Sloan and go, oh, wow, this stuff's all busted. Wild.
New and fun.
New and fun.
I have a very odd piece to put on that wish list, though.
Oh, yeah?
And it has absolutely nothing to do with the pieces on the table. I would like everybody to agree on one tournament tracking system.
Oh, you mean like T4 or
Yeah,
Long
roll
Chance?
better or T4, whichever one you want to go with, just make it consistent.
I mean,
my vote's for T4, but we'll see.
my vote's also for T4.
I'm flexible.
But
I just want to see it. Everybody use the same standard.
Yeah, one repository. I like that. But yeah, I mean, you guys are right. You're dead on, both of you. I think the biggest thing about Armada is there's a ton of just slam dunks that can be done post Worlds, like, you know, making Han Solo really good because it's Han Solo. But anyways, so we can go on for hours and hours here with our wish list. We're gonna move on. So really excited about the letter, and I wanted to do a quick thing, like our job as content creators, and this goes for the other ones. Our real responsibility to the community here is to focus on what our official rules now, what will become ARC rules later. That way, when people listen to like Kravik, us, Fly Casual, Downsize It, Iron Radio, we're all spewing the exact same information, right? So when people are listening to all the different podcasts and stuff, it's not confusing and everyone's just on the same page. And if I missed a podcast, I apologize. So don't get mad. But yeah,
sadly,
so,
we don't have time to watch and listen to everything out there.
yeah, some people do. So it's like I'm just saying, like we're just trying to make sure everyone's providing the same information. Now the next thing I want to talk about is, all right, elephant in the room. They've stopped printing our game, and let me tell you, this sucker is selling like lava. I mean, it's like you think they just released Armada like yesterday, and everyone's like, "Oh, look, a painted Star Wars game." And I want to. So a lot of this is FOMO, obviously, fear of missing out, because everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, my last chance." But I'm seeing a lot of people like selling full collections to new people at extremely eye-watering prices, which says there's people who want this game still. And I attribute a lot of this to exactly what we're doing right now, is there's a lot of podcasts talking about Armada and X-Wing all of a sudden, and these games have not been advertised in like 7 years.
Ever.
Right? And so all of a sudden people are hearing about, for the first time, that there's a pre-painted Star Wars game in space, and it's good.
There's triangles?
Yeah. And a lot of people are like searching it, looking for it. But to go with that,
I've just sold my Rebel fleet to one of our new players.
yeah,
Good.
man,
Yeah.
I've been noticing a lot of new players, and I again contributed to all this news all of a sudden of joining communities. I mean, I think we have 5 fresh players in our area, which is, for a dead game, it's pretty good. Now, this game was printed for 10 years. There's a lot of stuff out there, okay?
And if anybody has a Quasar that they want to part with, hey, I'm
Our
here.
boy Chris needs one. Now, because stuff is going for such high rates, there's scams. So listen, everybody, if it's too good to be true, it's fake. Okay.
It's just the box.
No one is selling you a Imperial Star Destroyer for $70. Okay, unless you can meet them in person at like a police station and hand them the cash and they hand you the box. Okay, so be on the lookout for scams. Listen, stuff is gonna cool off eventually. Okay, again, printed for 10 years. There's a lot of stuff. It's gonna change hands. So there'll be enough stuff for everybody to play that wants to play. Everything's just hot right now. Okay, I do not buy a $600 Venator. Okay, stop. Just stop.
Don't do it.
Just wait a little bit. Just if you want to play Republic, just fly some Peltas in the meantime. It'll be all right. But anyways, what do you guys have to say on that?
Peltas are not all right.
So, just in general, if you're trying to get into this game, keep in mind that there are a lot of people that have like 20 ISDs, and they have like 3 of literally everything, and they never go to the game store and play. It just sits around, and they play massive battles in their basement that
which
are
is fine. Which is fine.
40,000 points or something. Which is, I mean, sounds pretty epic to me, because I want to have Executor and like 5 other Superstar Destroyers fight an entire Akbar Rebel fleet. Like, the only problem is you can't, like, you would need a friggin' basketball court to move it all around so it has enough move to do anything. But other than that, like, the product is out there. It's just locked in like large quantities with people that have to get to the point where they're willing to sell it, which will come hopefully in time. Like market economic stuff. We'll say maybe at some point it will.
As a somewhat newer player, I do want to throw out there that this community is amazing, and if you meet up with your community and you say, I want to play this game, and this is what I'm thinking about playing, one, they'll help you fine tune that to where it's something that's playable.
Put a world fleet in your hand immediately and say, all right, time to
train. Two, many of them also have the pieces to let you borrow to sit down at the table and try what you want to play.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have had a fantastic experience in that case, and I don't think I am in a unique situation. I am in a good situation, but not a unique situation by any means.
Mm-hmm. And I'd also say, go to ye old dusty game store that's like around, and like rummage through their back catalog and see if you can find like literally any Armada product just like hidden behind other boxes because it never sold, and
yeah, this
they
stuff
never
is
got
out
rid of
there.
their stuff. So like,
yeah, I know they had some at clearance at the local store here, and
yeah.
I picked up some pieces there that got me started on my my CIS stuff. So
there's a lot of stuff out there. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure there's a Recusant over at A Plus Comics.
In Lexington,
still there.
Kentucky.
In
Yeah.
Lexington,
Oh,
yeah.
at A Plus. I'm sorry, I thought you
Yeah.
were talking about D20 because I picked up the Recusant there at D20.
Oh, there was one there too.
Yeah,
And then we
like
saw
$40.
those. We saw like
I couldn't pass
Empire
it up.
Squads 2 at Miso's, just there. So
Yeah.
like, find all these little game stores. You know, do a little bit of like digging around. Like you can find stuff probably.
Yeah. So because a lot of the stuff that wasn't popular, because there's just better options to play with, you know, the stuff that was at the bottom of the barrel, like victories and home ones, are all of a sudden disappearing. And that stuff is out there right now. I know we're releasing this on July 1st, Monday. You should still be able to get stuff below MSRP at Gamers Guild AZ.
And they're very reputable. I've bought from them a few times.
Yeah, listen, they have acknowledged that they are completely overwhelmed because they're like one of the last places in the domestic U.S. with stock. I think they bought some warehouse somewhere just full of stuff. I've got like 2 shipments coming from them.
Wow.
So they still have starter sets, clone,
Hey, free
original.
shipping if it's over $100.
Yes, free shipping. So now's the time. They don't have anything like Venators and ISDs, so
No,
apologize.
Or quasars.
Yeah, that stuff is super popular. But anyways, buying stuff, watch out for scams, but now's the time to look for things. Okay.
I had something else I wanted to say on that note, and now I'm drawing a complete and utter... Oh, yes. If you're looking for people to play with, people to borrow stuff, join our Discord, join Ion Radio's Discord, join any of these podcast Discords, and you will be able to find the players that are in your area that can help you out in starting off and learning what you need, because a lot of times, especially now that so much you have to pick up on the secondary market, find out what you want to play before you make the purchase, and you'll find yourself in a lot happier place financially.
Right. And that's another thing I wanted to point out. Communities, Discords, the Armada Hub Discord, Facebook, the Krabic Stars Armada Facebook page is a wealth of knowledge of people. I think there's like 10,000 people there right now. So if you are in an area, there's a good chance, there's somebody there who else wants to play. So like any other games, you need to reach out. But we're a leg up because we're playing a Star Wars space game. And it's a lot easier to get somebody to play that than some random dead game from 10 years ago. Not calling any games out. I'm just saying Star Wars is popular, right?
I'll call a game out. Firestorm Armada, excellent game. Really enjoyed playing it. Unfortunately, can't find anybody to play it.
I've seen those boxes sit on the bottom shelf at Scabbard for years.
Just full of dust. Okay, amazing. So buying stuff, watch out for scams. Too good to be true. It is not true. All right, moving on. Next thing I had written down was, I guess, post Worlds. I know it seems like it's forever away, and Ruben's impatient, and I'm impatient, Chris is impatient, but it's going to come really fast.
I'm not impatient. I'm patient. I can.
Okay, I'm
zen.
But I'm super excited for the whatever we decide to organize as tournaments, and how that we're going to feed things. I know Iron Radio is still talking with Adepticon to see what fun stuff can be worked out. I don't know. There's no specific things I can say or anything, but Adepticon's really cool. The people who run Adepticon are unbelievably great people. I've had the opportunity to meet them, and they like X-Wing and Armada a lot. And they're like, yeah, heck yeah, you guys are coming in, providing tables and stuff. So it's gonna be cool. And that's of course in Worlds 2026 and beyond. So there's no as long as people are still coming and playing. And again, we're playing a pre-painted Star Wars ship game when there's no other space game on the market in Star Wars to compete. There's no Star Wars out there for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Ruben wanted me to make a specific note that he wants to talk about chess clocks and time playing, and I guess we'll just talk about hopes and dreams of tournament play going forward.
So, I personally am looking forward to how competitive Tournament Armada is played in the future changing, because I think there are some ways that tournaments are structured that lead to games that are not engaging to view and not necessarily engaging to play. And a couple of things that I think would be pretty cool to see change in how Armada is structured at the competitive multi-day event level, which is really high level play, is no top 8 cut, which is going to be, people are going to be all scared about that. But my opinion on that is, if I paid the money to come to your event to play, I should get all the games that I paid for. And the Swiss works better the more games you put into it. When you look at chess, how chess works, the inventor of Swiss, Elo and Swiss and all that, it works and it becomes more and more fine-tuned as more games are played in its ecosystem. So if you play 6 games over like 2 days, you will absolutely have the best player win that event, period. There's not going to be any of this playing for the 6-5 round 4 so you make a cut. And there's not going to be any of this, oh, well, I'm going to make sure to just deploy way over here, and we're going to look at each other, and we're going to go, oh, you counted your points, and I counted my points, and I'm pretty sure we might just both make it through if we don't shoot each other. Which, it's strategy, right? Like, that's, after you learn how to win a game of Armada, you have to learn how to win a game of Armada big, and then you have to learn how to win a tournament of Armada. And winning a tournament of Armada has a whole lot of like other like aspects to it, where you know how to approach certain situations on the given day and the given game of that day. Other thing, chess clocks. I'm so tired of games not going to fruition. There is no excuse that any of us that play this game like once a week minimum, like I play 1 game a week, which is a lot. So like my bare minimum is 52 games of this. And it's probably more anytime I play a tournament. There's no excuse to not get a game done, turn 6 completed in 2 hours and 15 minutes. So chess clocks, like we can, like if there's a tournament standard for rules, there can be a tournament standard for practice. And when there's a tournament standard for practice, we can codify, this is how you use a chess clock. This is whose time does what, because if you're sitting there waffling over your defense tokens, it's your clock. And for anybody that doesn't know how a chess clock works, the time for the game is the total time of the game's round is divided on the chess clock between the 2 players. When you're the active player, it uses your time. When you are out of time on your clock, you can no longer take any actions. So the other person would be basically doing whatever they want and shooting you whatever they want. It would be, I have no expectation that would really happen if we started using clocks. What would happen is the games would be done. And
you'd speed up. So obviously that would be incredibly controversial and difficult to implement. But the point stands, people need to play faster. But I think a lot of the problem is, and like, when you TO events, you have to realize that enforcing slow play is not mean. It's like some people just need like that push to be like, hey man, you gotta go. Yeah. Like we have 2 hours and 15 minutes. You gotta go.
Move the squads. Go.
Now some people get offended, right? And like, don't be that person that gets offended. If the judge tells you to go, just realize that like you gotta go, man. Like, you might lose, so that's okay. I lose all the time. I am fine with it. That'll just treat you to like think faster. But yeah, so post Worlds content, maybe tournament stuff. I know. I just want Ruben to get his special note in there.
See, now that he's started, we all have to give one thing. Just
one thing for post Worlds. All right, what's yours?
So no, I want to hear yours first.
Mine is like, I just need. All right, listen, I need Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. Tournament related. I don't really have too many complaints tournament wise. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I think it's ran pretty tight as long as everyone follows the times. If you see, you took all the good ones, all the cumulative days twists. I gotta talk it out and think about it. Obviously the timing thing. If I did anything different, I don't know. Listen, I concur with your points.
All the thunder.
I concur with your points. Chris, you have the floor.
Well, I mean, I think actually I've already stated what my big thing is the same universal tournament tracker for everybody.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I think keeping everybody operating with the same software, it makes it more comfortable for not only the people organizing the tournaments, but the people playing in the tournaments. In fact, probably more so for the people who are playing in the tournaments, so that they know, okay, if I sign up on this system, I know this is the system that I'm going to be using to play in all of these tournaments. so I don't have to keep up with 3 or 4 different accounts, and I know how this system works, so I don't have to worry about figuring out how this other system works, and it just streamlines the process, you know?
Right. Love it. Next thing I want to talk about is because the game is no longer printed, it cannot be sold. When you play at your local game store, all right, encourage you and yourself and your players to buy things. Okay, you don't got to spend $100 each time you walk in there, but like buy other games, buy food, buy snacks. They're not running a charity. Okay, so get in there and spend some money. So you're not a leech while you take up your giant 6 foot by 4 foot table playing spaceship game. Our store makes it super easy. They have a coffee bar, so I just get a coffee each time I come in. It's beautiful. It's genius. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But also there's like other games to play, right? I know Star Wars Unlimited is like always standing behind me, watching everybody at the moment. It's the absolute juggernaut on the planet. Love it. The next thing we're going to talk about here is our upcoming changes to Rebellion in the Rim to make it a better, more strategic experience, and also incorporating Clone Wars into it.
Yep.
To where you really don't have to do anything different. You just swap out factions. And Ruben gets to start on that.
All right. Yeah, so I did some work. So we played Rebellion in the Rim. We kind of got the news that it was pretty obvious that AMG wasn't going to do anything more with the game. So I've been really interested in how do we use this excellent rules system in a greater context for a more strategic game, where it puts you in the seat of, instead of you're the commander of a fleet trying to win a mission, you're a admiral of a fleet trying to win a campaign, right? So moving ships around and having meaning to the battles and stuff like double blind movement, fog of war, that kind of stuff. And to that end, I spent a few hours, quite a few hours, writing up some changes to the original Rebellion in the Rim document to make it more of a dudes on map, to use a board game colloquial, like campaign focused, like movement focused logistics game, light logistics. First major change is that there's not going to be the zones on the map. So if you've ever looked at the Rebellion in the Rim map and there's the sectors 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that doesn't exist anymore. Instead, all the planets are connected by hyperspace lanes and jump point connections, and then fleets move a certain amount of points, and you can't move through enemy bases, you can't move through interdictors because they're putting up gravwell, and then based on how far you move, you take some of the condition cards. So, for example, if you move through a planet with enemy presence, you take the low morale. If you move too far, you're going to take the low fuel, low supply, same cards, just different ways that they're actually dealt to you. And that's first major change. So I guess if you want to do reactions to each individual thing, or if you want to chime in, I can keep going.
First off, the hyperspace stuff is my favorite part of our changes. Because I hate how on the regular Rebellion in the Rim map, you just jump around willy-nilly. Star Wars has rules with how hyperspace works, and it really bothers me when we're not following the rules in our made-up universe. So, anyways, positive reaction. Yes, hyperspace.
I definitely like the idea of staying more true to the source material. So yeah, I want to see more about how the hyperspace lanes work. So I'm looking forward to that.
There's additional rules to support 8 players. Basically, the short version is you only start with 2 bases instead of 3 or 4, and you only play 2 acts instead of 3. The first act ends with 2 pivotal battles, so it's 2 2v2s, and then the climactic battle of the campaign is the one big 8-player game. Because the big thing we learned from our Rebellion in the Rim campaign is that those 8-player games are like hard on everybody. They're hard on the community to get everybody together. And
they're
having
painful to play, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're tough to play. If you don't have the ability to take that mental load for that long, that some people do, some people don't, it's hard. It's really hard. And having 2 smaller pivotals at the end of Act 1 really scrambles up the map to make it a more just interesting process. Next major change, and this is a really big one. This is probably bigger than the hyperspace change. So instead of each planet having an assigned green objective card, you randomly roll at certain points in the game. So at the start of the game, you roll for half of them, and random green objectives show up on random planets. And then at the start of Act 2, the other half of them come up. So you get this nice, interesting curve of where you have half of the options, you play a third of the campaign, and then the other half of the options show up. And it will make a map that's distributed exactly the same as the original map, just random, so that there's like combinatorically massive amounts of different ways that it could show up.
I'm gonna have to see that in action.
Sure. If you're a smooth brain like me, it was really confusing the first time Ruben explained it to me. But basically, all we're doing here is breaking up and adding some variety of objectives to the map, but in a balanced way that mirrors what was on the original map.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just adding more options to planets that are supply planets, have more supply stuff, instead of because as we were nearing the end of our campaign, we had pretty much played through all of the objectives and couldn't replay them if we were fighting over a single planet, because you'd clash 2 or 3 times sometimes at one place. Yeah, love it. We'll make that a really easy system to figure.
Yeah, I would prefer to have it be like a deck of cards, because it's very tactile and makes sense, because you just draw half the deck and you say, okay, this objective is on this planet, and you go until half the objectives are drawn, and then at the end of the next act, at the start of Act 2, you do the exact same thing. But rolling on a table is easier for people to do, because you don't need extra components or anything.
Right, and just look at a table that will make, and it'll be in this nice little document.
There's been some slight changes. So this is basically, I collated a bunch of the changes from Ion Radio's Rebellion in the RM. You can't have copies of the same base defenses, which was a really good change that we had. Makes it a lot more interesting for strategically attacking places and how you do your defenses as teams. You let's see here.
It definitely made the choice of where to attack something that you really had to think on, and since it wasn't actually revealed what defenses were at what location, you kind of had to do some, I guess, educated guesswork to figure out where you wanted to go, what's important to your opponent, and what of those objectives is the strongest for them.
Right. Yeah. So if each base has to be unique, and there's 3 bases, you want to attack the weakest base defense. So you got to be like, all right, which one of these bases does the rebel player think is their weakest base and would put the least amount of resources in? Instead of all 3 bases being a overpowered fighter wing, for instance, or just example, one of those is an ion cannon, and an ion cannon base defense is not nearly as scary as the fighter wing, in my opinion.
For sure. So next big change that is actually one of the biggest strategic additions to the game is that when you declare attackers, when you declare assaults and defenders, it's double blind. So you secretly assign a fleet to attack a location, and the opponent team won't know which fleet it is. They'll know that you're attacking this location, and they'll have to assign a fleet to defend that location. Because in our campaign, as any of you who watched, and as we all know, we basically had everybody fight the same matches for 3 months straight, because that was just the only good strategic option to do.
Right. So I'm really excited about this. Now, the reason we kept pairing the way we did is because we were thinking about, we know each other's fleets are, we know who players are. And if you have new players on your team, you don't ideally want to send them up against, the guy who's been playing for 10 years. But now it's like a secret. So it could happen. But we'll talk about another change to maybe make that not happen.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect the spy tokens are going to have some advantage here.
They're going to have some use.
Yep, they sure are. So this is a really big. So another change that looks innocuous but is really big is that I put in to have all the points of victory tokens for non-green objectives, which means that you're not we're not playing fighter like precision strike, and that just goes, oh, you bombed me once, well, guess you're winning 10 points. Because let me tell you, 10 points in a 200-point game is hard to claw back from, especially if there's like 30 is a ton, and it makes those green objectives absolutely the focal point of the battle if you fight them, which I think personally narratively is absolutely how it should be.
Yes.
Additionally, no duplicate objectives in fleet building on your team. That's another note, but we did that too, so that's not like a big change. That's another ion radio addition to the rules. And also half hull of ships, which worked really well. We didn't have it come up too much, I don't think.
Well, it happened a lot on small ships. Because, 4 hull, get 2 damage, get half the points of the ship. So maybe, if you add a small ship, I mean, it's a real problem, because you're like, well, crap, my flotilla only has 3 health, I take 2 damage. You hit 1 asteroid yourself, because it's a lot easier to hit obstacles on a 3x3 map than on a 6x3, for obvious reasons. So yeah, the half hull thing changed a lot of the way games went, because we had a lot of really close games. Like, a lot of the time games would end up 6-5, and that was it. Yep. Loved it.
I can recall one particular game where there was no score.
Right.
So because we've changed, so let's just generally, we've removed winner loser bifurcation for points for upgrade cards. So anybody that fights at a planet just gets 1 card of that type, of any types present. The winner gets presence on the planet as usual, and we've changed it so that now really only the loser gets the benefit of experience, but it's just the everybody gets 1 for participating, and then if you fight a fleet that you get +1 if you lose, and if you fight a fleet that was larger than yours, every 25 points you get that additional 2. So basically, I've moved experience to be fully just comeback mechanic.
Yeah, I like that, and I think the biggest thing, I think this was an on radio original.
Sort of. We tweaked it too.
Yeah, it's the whole problem of Rebellion of the Rim is if you follow the on-map and original rules upgrade card reward system, the game immediately falls apart. Because if the winner keeps getting 15-point unique officer cards, and the loser gets a 5.1
first officer. Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing? So each player gets an equal number of upgrade cards after a battle is the single most important thing to do when you're playing this campaign. If you do nothing else, we recommend it's to only take 1 upgrade card per player.
Absolutely.
Don't pay attention to points. Okay, just you both get a card.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it just falls apart.
Small note: if you lose, your fleet actually does withdraw to an adjacent location, and that becomes your fleet's current location. because you always, when you're moving your fleet, you measure from your current location the number of jumps to where you're going to attack, and then that assigns what condition card you get. And it's the same in Rebellion, in Ion Radio's rules, where your opponent chooses which of your condition cards currently assigned to your fleet is the active for that battle. And you'll get rid of them by the same means that the game had in it before. Additionally, we've changed scarring to be you spend points for the whole team gets a number of points total equal to their bases, depending on the number of players in the game, and then they use that point pool to repair their ships and squadrons.
Which that was something that I was talking about when we were playing. I was just it seemed kind of silly that after pretty much every fight, every ship was just back to full health.
Every ship and squadron. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very, very rare when you had a scarred ship or squad going into a fight.
So this is my second favorite addition to the game, to the campaign. Because all of a sudden it matters what you lose, because there's only so many points to be dispersed when everyone has 200 plus point fleets. So at the beginning of a game, if you only have 2 bases, that means there's only 200 points available to 2 players or 4 players, depending on the size of the team, right? Yes, I just like having.
It just feels right.
I like being put in a dilemma, right? A dilemma, and there's consequences.
Yeah, because every time, if you study any military history, and I study way too much military history, every time you see a general of an army preparing to put his men into action, it's always a dilemma of logistics, getting the wounded out, will we win, where's the enemy, are my flanks secure? So having it actually be that your ship's going into action and scarring matters for everybody is really how it should feel. Now, of course, we're not doing scarring and then getting blown up if you die when you're scarred. We're not doing that. I'm saving that for a later campaign idea, but that's just a spoiler for something else. That's most of the big changes for that section of the rules. So next section is going to be the strategic effects tokens, and we're going to start with the ally token. And what I've done is we ran into this thing where we as the rebel team didn't have Nal Hutta or Mandalore, and we had an ally token, so it did nothing. So I've added the option for the Hawk 290, YT 1300, or Jumpmaster 5000. It's changed from the original rules where you only get one irregular squadron. You don't get a flotilla or ship or anything. And it still keeps if you control Mandalore or Nal Hutta, you get the Gauntlet Fighter for Mandalore, the bane of my existence apparently, and the YT 2400 for Nal Hutta. Mostly just a quality of life improvement because, you don't want to have weird end states in your game where you have a resource that you get as a benefit that is not useful.
Yeah. Really like that. I just like the idea of us adding more freighter options. You know what I mean? It's stupid that the ally token limited you to just that. So, love it. What's the next one?
Next one is
Field
diplomats.
Diplomat.
Yeah. So the diplomats token now says, in the strategy phase, you can spend a diplomats token to make a planet count as having your presence for the purpose of enemy movement. So that means that if they move through your present, that if you can look at the map and you expect an opponent to attack a particular location, or they have to move a fleet through a particular connection point to get somewhere that you think they're going to attack, you can use the diplomats token to assign them low morale, because that's the same outcome for that condition card. Instead of it being, beforehand you would put it in an area and then they would just elect not to attack in that area because they had to assign an attacking fleet and they knew. So there were very, very few ways where the token was actually usable, much to my disappointment, because I really like the idea of saying, sending your emissary somewhere to defeat the enemy's movement capability.
And from the sound of it, that can also be used in a more beneficial manner as well, where you're planning on moving through an area that they already have a presence, where your opponent has a presence, and now you've put your diplomat there, and okay, I'm not going to suffer this condition for going through that area, which I kind of like. I mean, I think it strategically sounds effective.
That's interesting. We'll have to see. I like that. We'll have to see how it works, because of course.
Well, because of the way that you phrased it, to where you treat the planet as if you had a presence there, that now means that not only does it make it more difficult for an opponent to go through there, it makes it easier for you to go through opposing areas.
Yeah, I hadn't actually considered that. I just considered it for neutral planets. So that's a good idea. We'll see how that plays.
Like put it on a base? Because like on our rules we're making, we make it so like you just can't travel through an enemy base.
Oh, maybe that's a great idea too.
Yeah. Oh. All right, write that down.
Oh, man. I didn't even have to write it down because it's not written down. It's just the rules. Oh, synthesis. Synthesis. Repair yards token is changed to you can repair a ship for no cost. Pretty self-explanatory there. If you lose that ISD, if you got dockyards, get that sucker right up back into shape.
Theme,
yeah. The resources haven't changed. No changes for those. Skilled spacers. We're keeping the rules that we had in place from Ion Radio. They worked really well, except that everybody trolled me and asked me the same question about how they worked every time for like 4 weeks because they like getting me rustled.
I can put this on an X-Wing, right? It killed his squadron.
No! All right, short phrase is you can assign an exhausted skilled spacers token to a unique squadron, which means you can only spend it once to reroll as many dice as you can as you want in the pool, and then if you kill something with it, you would then become a veteran, because the veteran rules haven't changed in any like major way. I don't think they've changed at all, actually.
I just had a thought that I want to throw out there and get your idea for this, because I think thematically this sounds appropriate and effective. When you specified a ship on that repair yard, I'm suddenly thinking now, okay, say you've got a base, you could use that base to repair one ship or 2 squads.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it would be a number of points.
Okay.
Like actual
I just having it easier to repair squads than to repair ships, I think is something that you may want to consider.
It's easier by the nature of the point value you pay for them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You could repair more squads, or you can repair this ship.
Yeah, and the repair yards token. So with how the scarring works, and with how there being so many, with you being limited by points, I'm hoping, like the design goal is that people will actually use the stupid hyperspace rule, because it was in our game for the entire time and nobody used it. So you should have rules that make people think about using your other rules. So if you were, damaged a little bit and you go, oh, we don't have the logistic capability to repair this capital ship if it blows up. Hyperspace out. You take the L, but you keep your stuff alive.
I was just thinking, and Chris, you might have to edit this out. I was just off the cuff. What if the ships that hyperspace out only count half points?
We're so deep into the show now that this kind of edit would be bad.
Okay.
So
this is good. This is good talking. People are gonna like that. Hopefully, I don't know. If they don't like this, they're gone already.
I think there's so much rule synthesis that will have to occur by having you guys play this stuff, and that's why you won't see me for the viewers. You won't see me as a commander of one of the factions, and we're going to play Clone Wars, so I'll be supporting the Galactic Republic. Good soldiers follow orders. For my brothers, I like clones. but I won't be the commander of that faction because I want to see other players really read this stuff and put it through its paces to see what emergent gameplay we get out of it. And if we run into any weird loopholes or dead ends and stuff, because I can like watch the players go through the like fleet assigning stuff and see how it all goes. Let's see here.
Spynet tokens.
Yep, Spynet token. So you can still use the Spynet token to redeploy. You can still use the Spynet token to pass a deployment. But now, after a fleet has been assigned to attack or defend, you can spend a Spynet token to reveal that fleet. And there's that.
That's all of a sudden we've added a rule, and now we've taken something that exists in the game and made it useful.
Yeah.
The Spynet token.
And like specifically, there are the timings where you have to do it after the assaulting player has been assigned, and then the defending player is assigned, so that there's those timing windows. I've tried to be pretty specific with all the windows so that it reads like the original documents.
Yeah. And that's really the last big change. Pivotal battles remain basically the same, except for the exception of 8-player, where break it down to 2, 'cause 8's too many.
Yeah.
One thing, so like the idea, big picture on this document is, and because of our experience playing, we had the original book on Radio's papers and our own notes, and it was a real pain in the rear to try and keep all that straight. So we're trying to take one document, obviously for free, okay, and everybody will be able to download this, and then that way everyone just references one thing, and then we'll make sure everything is nice and blue that has changed. And then the map is also the same, except we're going to add lanes, which will also be downloadable. And if you're a little bit crafty, you can take your map at home and add lines to it. There's like a million ways to potentially do that.
And you can make the planet cards to use for the random like objective generation if you want, or you can just roll on the table provided. Very simple. Last change in the document is change to ambush gunner to read,
oh yeah,
while you are attacking a ship, you may ignore obstruction from one obstacle at distance 1 to 2 of you. And ambush gunner 3 is while a friendly ship is attacking a ship, you may ignore obstruction from one obstacle at distance 1 to 2 of that ship. Because boy, did we all take ambush gunner.
Because everybody was Jaina's light, right? So it was a no-brainer add to most fleets that had, any ships. More than one. More than Chris's one ISD fleet.
Because we didn't see like a ship minutely flying around the debris field or like an asteroid to like get the good double arc and shoot through it where it's not taking fire. We saw ships in triangles together, all just giving themselves the bubble of the benefit and then just shooting through each other, just out in the open. So I think this change will not only rein in the power of this particular, whatever these are called,
commander
ability, and make that commander ability feel more like how it reads as like ambush gunner.
Yeah. Love it. Super excited.
I know this is going to shock you guys, but we're going a little bit over on time, so I think this is a good point to kind of shut things down, although I do want to tell folks that this week I am not sure what's going to go on with Thursday Night Armada, because Thursday night is the 4th of July.
It's Freedom Day, okay?
Which means that, there's that would be 2 weeks that we haven't had Thursday Night Armada, and I apologize for that, but, I think that's pretty much what's going to happen here. I can't figure out a way around that one.
Maybe we can do something on the weekend. I don't know.
Well, I think I work this weekend, so we'll have to see.
Worst case,
I will
we'll be
keep
back.
people. I will keep people posted as far as what's going on, as far as an Armada game is concerned.
Tuesday, hater show match.
On top of that, I also want to throw out that in 2 weeks we will have another After Actions report. This time it will be back on Twitch, so if you've got comments and you want to join the stream and everything, and you may very well really want to join the stream because I am working. I haven't gotten everything locked in yet, but I'm working on having some special guests, so I really, really hope that you will stay up to date on Discord and on the Facebook page, and I will let you know what we've got coming. But Ruben, Garrett, thank you again as always.
Another fun episode.
Indeed. With that, I am going to say goodnight to you guys and finish everything up here with a few closing notes.
All right. Bye, guys.
Good night.
Take care.
So, that's what we've got for you this week. Again, I want to thank you for watching. I apologize that we're not on Twitch this week because, well, again, scheduling conflicts happen, as you have noted for the last couple weeks, unfortunately. But we will have everything live in 2 weeks, and I hope you'll join us then. Again, I'm hoping to have some special guests, hoping to keep you guys up to date on what's going on with the tournament scene, how this is going to play out, and how some of these new communities are growing up. Like Garrett mentioned, the Cincinnati community, they do have a Facebook page. I recommend you looking them up because it's going to be a great place to play. There's going to be a lot of options there and a lot of opportunities to meet new players. So thank you again for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful week.
Thank you.